Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of Full Steam Ahead. I'm your host, Zoe. Cantu is on the other side. Sorry for the technical difficulties, not the right start we wanted to do on this opening day eve, but that is a little bit of our preview of our intro video. We already have it done. For some reason, it just does not want to show up, but we have it situated and everything. We'll have it all ready up after the Mets series. But other than that, opening day eve, Angel, how we feeling?
Uh, we're feeling good. Before we get started, Astro Work question. I was about to give up on you, but no, yeah, technical difficulties were real today. But we're excited to be back. New season, new intro, new year. So we are ready to get it going. We're feeling good for opening day. Full steam ahead. We'll be there. Getting content for you all to see.
Yeah, most definitely. Sorry. Yeah. That boy's like, I'm already done with y'all. But yeah, we're getting that intro video ready for the season. Obviously, opening day is tomorrow. Haven't we're just getting everything ready for the 2025 season for this Houston Astros ball club. A very different ball club, I will say. But real quick with these objectives, title of this episode, the Cam Smith era starts now because the Astros top prospect is going to the show and will be starting in right field for your Houston Astros in 2025, at the beginning of the season at least. Um, but objectives we got real quick. We're going to talk about a lot more about Cam Smith, some other prospects that made it on the roster as well. Predict the Astros lineup because after adding him to this lineup, I mean it's in a really good position to compete not just for the division, win the division, but a deep push in the playoffs. That was my thing when we were talking about the AL West and how the Astros stack up against other teams. Texas was really threatened with their offense. But now adding Smith into this lineup, it looks a little bit more better for the Astros, and another possibility to go on a deep postseason run and potentially go back to the World Series. So we'll have that real quick. Opening series against the Mets. We're not going to do really deep dive into pitching previews like we did last year. We're going to change that up a little bit this season. Astros injury updates, one being a Luis Garcia. We have an update on him, and it is not the news that I think Astros fans want to hear, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later. And around the horn, Angel, let everybody know where they can find us, where they can see us. A lot of new things happening. Subscribe to that YouTube channel and all them social media platforms. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can find us on X, TikTok, YouTube at Full Steam Ahead, Instagram or FSA Full Steam Ahead. But you can find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. But I agree with you, though, when you said this is a new team, very young team. I think we're kind of going in the route where, like the 2015 Astros, that was a young team with some, veteran leadership. I think this is what this team is looking for. Carlos Correa's is gone, George Springer's gone, Bregman's gone. So I think it's time for these young guys to step in and Cam Smith showed and other Zach DeZanso showed that they are ready to contribute, and it's just to see how they adjust to the regular season. But very exciting time if you're an Astros fan. It's always these past few years have shown it's always a good time. Again, if you're an Astros fan, to be one. So hope you'll have a great season. But let's get the show on the road.
Yes, this is like a very different ball club, and I'm gonna talk about the lineup when we talk about our predictions for this year's Astros lineup, but very different now. But the talk of the town is a kid from Florida State University, Cam Smith, making that opening day roster. What a spring this kid had.
Yeah.
And this is more of a roller coaster for him. Just getting drafted by the Cubs, not even being able to go their first spring training over there, gets traded, comes to camp, introduced to a new position, and now you're on the big league ball club. I mean, is that not a roller coaster of a ride, just going up and down, kind of
Absolutely.
trying to figure out where you're going to go? And look where he's at. I mean, starting right field on Thursday and Monday, real quick, let's just rewind a little bit. Monday, I mean, he goes 1 for 3 with a triple and two RBIs, that 2-run triple down the right field line. A lot of fans were excited. You could see the excitement in his face as well when he slid into third. He looked at the dugout like if he was back in college. Like it looked like a college World Series game for him, which he's already been to. But then Tuesday comes along, and a lot of people were wondering, well, is he going to make it? Is Zach DeZenzo going to make it? Is Brendan Rodgers? I mean, there's like 3 spots up for grabs, and nobody knows if for sure either Cam Smith is going or Zach DeZenzo is going to be in the show. And sure enough, both of them guys made the roster. Brendan Rodgers also making that last roster spot. But Joe Espada and the Astros reached out to Smith's family. I know everybody's seen that video out there on Astro social media of the family being in attendance and specifically his mom being able to tell him, "Hey, you're going to the show." But Joe Espada and the Astros reached out to Smith's family Monday night to deliver that news that he was going to make the opening day roster. Cam Smith didn't even know that he was going to make it. So, mom, girlfriend, grandma, stepdad, they all got on a plane real quick. Next day, which is Tuesday, was in Houston town. Smith didn't even text his mom, which he usually says that he always calls her or texts her every day. And that day specifically, he didn't do none of that. Well, Spada calls for a 3 o'clock meeting in the clubhouse. You had the AAA Sugar Land Space Cowboys there, as well as the Houston Astros. And I mean, this is one of the coolest things I think a manager could do. But the manager, you never see this really, gives the opportunity for his parent, which it could be parents, but with Cam's mom was being the single parent. He called his mom on the phone. Mom steps into the clubhouse, and all of a sudden, you could just see the camera pan to Cam, and man, he's just bawling, crying tears of joy. I'm pretty sure all the hard work that's been paid off, and what a moment, what a story, what a just exciting time for the Smith family, for him, for all that hard work that he was able to do.
Yeah, I think it was a full circle moment for the Smiths, just being able to live his dream. There's a lot of great stuff out there on social media about all the sacrifices that his mom had to do for Cam Smith and all the help he got from coaches and his network, his people around him. So well deserved. That just pays tribute to all the hard work that he's put in to get to this moment.
Mhm.
Only what 31 games in the minor league,
32. 32.
32 games in the minor leagues. So that's pretty phenomenal. So I think it's like the third fastest trajectory to the major leagues. However, we do want to give Danner Brown his flowers because Alexander Brown takes a lot of criticism being the general manager of the Astros, traded Presley, traded Tucker, but trading Tucker for now three major league ready guys. And one of those guys is literally taking over the spot that Kyle Tucker once heard and that once had. So I would just say I think the Astros won that trade, getting three major league ready guys for 1 year for the Cubs getting 1 year of Kyle Tucker. So turns out to be I know Tanner Brown received heavy criticism from this Kyle Tucker trade because he was a fan favorite, but turns out, like we told y'all too, great trade.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was one of the nobody saw that coming for Cam specifically.
Yeah.
But the three guys that the Astros got in, obviously you got a back end starter with Wisniewski that could be in the bullpen piece if you want him to. Then you get 3 years of control of Isaac Paredes. You established that position that you really needed in that offseason because you didn't know what Alex Bregman was going to do. So being able to get those two guys and then a top prospect, which the Astros haven't had a top prospect since Drew Gilbert, it's an A plus. It's an A plus on that trade, at least for the Astros side. Of course, right now with the Cubs side, I mean, it could be an A because you got Kyle Tucker. You got one of the best underappreciated players, I would say, in this game. Nobody from at least in this roster of Houston, he had to play behind Carlos Correa, George Springer, Alex Bregman, Jordan Alvarez, Jose Altuve. He had to play like back from all these superstars, and now he's the face. I would say he's the face of the franchise over there in Chicago, but he is well known as that superstar in Chicago with the Cubs.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I would say an even trade, I guess, because I mean, they did end up getting Kyle Tucker for that. So yeah, I agree with you.
So we do want to give an applause for Dana Brown then.
Absolutely.
But yeah, having this kid, I mean, he's very disciplined. He's very educated, very humble. I mean, he's ready to get the grind going. He's just ready to start. And sure enough, Joe Espada talked a little bit more about Cam Smith. And of course, like I said, we already have the videos on our YouTube page. But here's a little sneak peek and a little small clip of what you can be watching on that video.
To make sure that we were going to have enough at bats for some of these young players that we're rolling with. That he handled, he's handled himself for the last 5-6 weeks. Like we were not expecting him to do things this quickly, and I think he will make an impact in our lineup. I think he's mature enough to. There's some challenges that come from first-year players, second-year players, third-year players, and I think this guy has checked all the boxes, and we're confident that he is ready to make an impact in our lineup.
So, I mean, you already heard him. He's already confident that he's going to make an impact on this lineup. And we've already talked a little bit small about it, but the lineup, when you put Smith in there, that last part of that lineup looks pretty good and pretty, like they can do some damage whenever their name is called.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if Cam Smith can hit like he did in spring training now, I know it's a different game, spring training compared to the regular season, and it moves a little faster. You're seeing guys that are consistently good, even coming off the bullpen. Instead of seeing AAA pitchers, you're seeing major league ready pitchers, right? So obviously there might be some growing pains coming up for Cam Smith. Like I do expect him to, start get the ball rolling right off the bat, but there might be times where Cam Smith, is in a little slump or, you know, it's just not good things are going his way. But I think that's all part of the show. It's all part of being a major league baseball player, being a young major league baseball player. So I do, Cam Smith, I guess just show him some grace a little bit, but I think he will get the ball rolling. But just excited to see how everything turns out.
Yeah, it should be interesting what happens in his first game. I know family's going to be in attendance. I know his mom had mentioned that travel coaches are going to be in attendance. A lot of supporters that has gone along the way with Cam and his baseball career. I think it's going to be a very exciting time, not just for the family too, but for Astro fans and for the city of Houston. Getting a good prospect that they haven't seen since, like I said, Drew Gilbert. He got traded, so nobody knows what he could have been. But the days of Alex Bregman, the guys like Carlos Correa, Kyle Tucker, everybody saw a glimpse of a top prospect like that. And now they're getting to see that once again in Cam Smith. Cam Smith's played in big games, All-American kid, played in the Cape Cod League. He was an all-star in that league as well. Played in the College World Series, like I had mentioned before. So he's gone under the bright lights, at least College World Series-wise. I'm pretty sure with the regional games as well, with the super regionals in college baseball, that's pretty huge. A lot of fans are in attendance for that. So he's played in some big moment games. He's come up with some clutch hits. I think for me personally, I think the bat's the biggest thing of Cam Smith, at least for Houston, because defensively, he's a corner infielder, but the athleticism that he presents, and we've talked about it numerous times, that the young guy that he is, he's still going to be capable of playing any position. You can put him in first, you can put him at second, put him in the outfield, and sure enough, 4 to 3 weeks of training in right field, he's looked really comfortable. Of course, there was that one play that he didn't read the ball really well, but then he came back with another play and caught the ball at the wall. So very educated, knowledgeable, wants to learn. I even talked to Jose Altuve too, yesterday, about Cam Smith, and he said this kid just wants to learn. Even though he's the top prospect, he still wants to know what he can do better. And that's, as a Major League Baseball player and as young as he is, that's all you can ask for.
No, yeah, I agree with you 100%.
But Dana Brown also, of course, he used to VP of scouting with the Atlanta Braves. He's seen that over there with the Nationals. His resume speaks for himself. He's big on scouting, and he talks a little bit more about what he saw in Smith during his time at Florida State and getting adjusted, trying to get to the baseball.
Look, when you do what I do for a living, these decisions are not easy, right? But there's a lot of things you look at with the human eye. You look at some of the data and the information. This guy had quality at bats for a long time. He's played at a high level at Florida State very good baseball. You know, I remember taking Ryan Zimmerman out of that school in 2005 in Virginia, out of that league, I should say, that conference. And these guys, they play at a high level in college. And then he comes into pro ball, and he's playing very well. Then he comes to a new team and plays well, even in spring training. He's taken well to a new position. And just being in baseball for 35 years, I know what it looks like. You know, I know what that good young player looks like that, you know, deserves to be at the major league level. And so, you know, we're pretty excited about, you know, what he's going to do for this team and how he's going to blend in.
On the personality side, everyone's kind of glowing reviews of him. What did you first notice when you were scouting him to trade for him and then just having him here?
Yeah, it's interesting that I did see him when he was at Florida State, so I did scout him, and I remember saying, look, I like this guy. I'm not sure if he can play third base. Right field might be a better position. I can remember in my baseball career, guys like, you know, the catcher that Baltimore took that ended up in Washington Nationals. I'm drawing a blank right now, but he played right field and ended up being really good. And so some of these guys, man, they just go to that new position, they fit right in, and it's impactful. Jason Work, that's what I was thinking of. So, look, I feel really confident that this guy is ready and that he's going to make an impact. I love his at-bats. I mean, you can see, you know when a player is taking pitches just off the corner, that's really good sign for a young player to be doing that. And so I'm very impressed by that.
Very impressed just right off the gates of Cam Smith. And you heard what Dana Brown had mentioned about he scouted him more as an outfielder and a right fielder. And if you really think about how this trade evolved, how the planning started of, you know, should we keep Kyle Tucker? Should we go after another player? Of course, Chicago was looking for a superstar. They were looking for some pitching depth as well, you know, specifically more of the bullpen. But dive into that trade. Nobody really heard of Cam Smith. Of course, there was the Matt Shaws, there was the Pete Crow, Armstrong, Jordan Wicks type of young players, pitchers, and positional players. But Cam Smith never came into mind because he literally just got drafted last year in the 14th pick of that first round. So fast forward to when that trade happened, Dana also had mentioned like he's maybe going to see some outfield, but we never know. Asked him again when it was the media luncheon. He said he's a corner infielder. He was drafted as a corner infielder, but he is not opposed to put him in right field. Dana already knew there was a need in the outfield. If they trade Kyle Tucker, they need somebody in the outfield. Jake Myers, of course, we've talked about him. That's going to be your defensive specialist, Gold Glove finalist. He's staying at center field. He's staying put. Jose Altuve made the transition to left field after the Astros 2024 season, so they weren't worried about that. They told Zach DeZenzo, too, to go get more at-bats in the Puerto Rican Winter League. Comes to right field. Chas McCormick had a down year in 24. 23, it was one of his best years in his career. So the Astros were just kind of like, okay, well, are we going to see Chas continue that, what he did in 24 into 25? Or should we look into somebody that's like a Cam Smith, of course, a infielder, but you think we can transition him to an outfielder? And sure enough, that's what they did. I'm not 100% sure if they thought about that in the beginning of spring training, like, hey, when he comes in, let's put him in the outfield, get him to work. I really doubt that. But at the end of the day, when you're young and you're athletic like him, yeah, man, this dude's a tall kid. It's like over 6 foot, 6'3" probably. Very athletic, barrel to ball action. You need somebody like that that's going to help Houston, especially not go where they wanted to go like last year in the beginning of the year. Got swept against the Yankees at home, and they started, 7-14? I can't remember the record. You probably know more than me, but getting Smith was an important piece for that trade for Houston.
Absolutely. And I was watching the video, and I feel like I can listen to Dana Brown talk baseball all day. Very knowledgeable guy, knows what he's talking about. And going back to having Cam Smith as camp, I think the plan was to give him at bats at third base, get his feet wet, but he showed matured at bats. Like when Danny Brown said he, for a young guy taking pitches just off the plate, that's very huge because that just shows you have a great vision, discipline, right? Mature at bats, they can account long, and I think once they figured out, hey, this guy has the potential to be, impactful in the lineup, then that's when they started making a move to right field just to fill that need. Uh, that Kyle Tucker left, but I think th- I I think they found their guy. Maybe the Astros didn't pull the trigger on say an Alex Verdugo or somebody else because they knew what they had,
Mhm.
right? They're in the general manager position for a reason. They're in that circle for a reason, and they knew that I'm sure they knew that Cam Smith could be productive, but like soon rather than later. But I'm sure they did not imagine this quick. So it's just a plus that Cam Smith was ready now instead of months ahead. And then having Zach DeZenzo, who played for that phenomenal in his own right. I honestly think if Cam Smith doesn't have the spring he's having, you're seeing Zach DeZenzo starting in right field.
Mhm.
I and there might be a situation where they both can be in the outfield as well.
Yeah.
So it's just these young guys that they did. But seeing Cam Smith in right field, I think once they made that switch, I think they knew for a while back that if he can play right field good, he's on the opening day roster.
And you're seeing this trend too with infielders as well. We really
Yeah,
not talking about that. Zach DeZenzo was a shortstop at Ohio State, and then he
yeah,
transitioned. I mean, that's his primary positional is in the infield. He played some corner infield. That was what he was brought up to be in the Astros farm system. But now playing outfield. Another guy that's we can talk about two Padres is Jackson Merrill and Fernando Tatis.
yeah.
Jackson
Jazz
Merrill was
shit.
supposed to be in Jazz Chisholm. Everybody, Merrill was
De La
supposed to be an
Cruz too.
infielder. Who?
Uh, the La Cruz from the Pirates.
Not De La
And,
Cruz. That's O'Neill Cruz.
no Cruz. Yeah, sorry, no
Yeah.
Cruz.
So you're seeing that trend of infielders going into the outfield because of their athleticism. Merrill's very athletic. Tatis, you've already seen that as well, winning a platinum glove, not to mention right field. Like you're saying, O'Neill Cruz, one of the most bat to ball guys, exit velos are out of this world, goes from short to center field. So it's like you're seeing that trend of these athletic athletes, and they're going from the infield and they're going to the outfield and they're having success, you know,
Yeah,
and it's helping the team too to bring in other players that fit their position that they need.
yeah. Another name that you wouldn't expect to be in the outfield, Javi Baez. Javi Baez was playing center field in the final game. Spring training just because of all the Tigers injuries. Wenzel Perez is hurt. Parco Meadows, Matt Beerling, so they had a need in the center field. So you see Javi Baez out there too. So yeah, I think last year the trend we're talking about is relievers going to starting pitchers, and now we're seeing the trend of infielders going to the outfield. So
Yeah.
baseball's all about adjustment. It's always evolving, and now you're seeing this involvement of athleticism is what they're looking for, just because they can be plugged in anywhere.
And it's just a plus when you get a player that's open to that idea. Look at Jose
Yeah,
Altuve at 30 something, 34, 35 years old and going into left field
yeah,
to do what's best for the team. So I think that's even a plus 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 for having
absolutely.
a player that actually can do that. But the man of the hour, we got a little small clip of the emotion that Cam Smith presented at his media little area in the dugout when he had gotten the announcement that he was going to go the opening day roster.
Just so blessed for this opportunity. It's obviously a dream come true. So many emotions going on right now. I'm pretty much out of breath because I'm so hyped up right now.
Joe said your mom delivered the news.
She did. Yeah, she came in the locker room, and right when she walked in, I broke down in tears. Very special.
Now that you think about just everything that it's taken for you to get here, I know the moment's been like 20 minutes, but can you kind of reflect on you made it?
Yeah. Sorry. Very emotional.
Yeah, you obviously made such an impression on these guys in the competed for this before? Did you really feel like this is a possibility that you did great with it?
Yeah, I always thought it was possible. I think I had a great group of guys around me to help me out to get here today. So I always saw it as a possibility, for it to happen. And we're here today talking about it now. So I'm very blessed.
I know this is very emotional for you, but just the special nature of having your mom deliver that. You said you broke down, but kind of, can you just take us through the idea that she would be the one, after all she did for you, to tell you that you made the major leagues?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
At one point it was just me and her in the house. She struggled to take me to baseball games and practice, and I'm just happy to do it for her.
Very heartwarming, man. I mean, you could see the emotion from him, what it means to him. I'm guessing, I'm not speaking for him, but reminiscing and thinking back, and some of the obstacles that they go through and challenges. I know for kids, having to pick up rides from other, either from their coaches or from their friends, that's a struggle. And like he mentioned, that at the end of the day, it helps him become the person that he is today. And what he did throughout this time and the grind and all that stuff, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all worth it for him. And just a person that you would want to root for, I would say, in my opinion.
Yeah, like I said earlier, well deserved. A guy like that, knowing where he's coming from, thanks to all the people who were involved. This is just a guy who deserved to be there. He's put in the work, put in the necessary hours. I know I did read a part somewhere that, he his coaches would actually bought him like a tee and a net so he can practice, and he spent countless of times there. So, just kind of, I lost the word I'm looking for, but it's just special to see a guy like that in Major League.
Yeah, most definitely. But you can see the rest of these videos on our YouTube channel, as we got it on there. We also got a Zach DeZenzo one. Even Cam Smith's mom talking about the journey, and seeing him being able to be in the majors, man. It's just a special time for a family like that to celebrate this huge accomplishment in his baseball career. But per Sarah Lang's, speaking of history, like you had mentioned, the third fastest player, and you are correct. Cam Smith has played 32 minor league games. On the tweet, it says just 2 drafted positional players made an opening day roster with less experience in the minors plus the majors. 2 being 1, Pete Incavilia for the 1986 Rangers. That was 0 games of any major or minor league experience, which is really insane. That's like saying sign one of us up at this point to go play. And then John Olerud, 1990 Blue Jays. He had 6 games of major and minor league experience. So it's going to be interesting to see how he adjusts to the big league level. Yes, he did face some minor league players. Yes, he did face some major league players. It was a combination of both. It's going to be very interesting what he can do at the plate against a guy like, let's say, Garrett Crochet, a guy like Logan Gilbert, Bryce Miller, Yusei Kikuchi. You're going to see different types of players that have different type of movement and all that stuff with their arsenal. So the biggest question on them all, what can we expect from Cam Smith at least the start of this season for Houston? Because he is a rookie. He is, I feel like there could be some pressure coming at him because he is a top prospect in this farm system. He was very highly regarded as one of the best in that 2024 draft class. What are the expectations seeing this rookie start on opening day this Thursday?
All right, before I answer your question, I do have a little fact for you. I know we're talking about how quick Cam Smith made it to major leagues. Well, today the Angels of Anaheim promoted Ryan Johnson to the major league roster without ever pitching in the minor leagues. So that'll happen this game.
Did he get drafted in that same draft class in 24?
Yes.
But the Angels have done that a little bit more than. I'm shocked they didn't put Christian Moore up there, but
Absolutely,
Nate
yeah.
Shawnell, they did with Zach Neto, Logan O'Hoppe. I mean, they
Ben Joyce too.
Ben Joyce, another one, yeah. So they they have a trend of doing that much
Yeah,
often.
absolutely. But going back to the question, what can we expect of Cam Smith? I'd say he comes out firing. I think this Mets series, that I think with the Mets they have a great lineup, but their pitching will have a tendency to kind of lack, and I think Cam Smith could see some pitching that he might like that he can do some damage of. So I'd say, and then they have what, the Marlins after that. So I think
No, they
the
have
first 2 weeks.
The Giants after that.
Sorry, the Giants after that. Sorry.
Mhm.
Same thing with the Giants too. That back end, like besides Logan Webb, that back end of the pitching stuff might not be as superior as other teams are. So I think you can see Cam Smith hit the ground running, but again, these are major league pitchers, major league coaches that have a whole bunch of analytics on you that have all the tendencies that from that you see on spring training. So I think he will get in a little slump, tiny slump later. That's just normal rookie growing pains. But I think overall he'll have a good year.
Yeah, and Joe Espada, I'm giving you a little teaser on that video that we posted on YouTube. He had mentioned that he knows his strengths and weaknesses, and he knows how to adjust to those. He knows what he needs to work on. And of course, we've heard Dana Brown. We've already heard the Astros coaching staff, including Brown, about the play discipline, like you're mentioning, the vision, the at bats that he takes is like big league at bats. He has a great eye at the plate. So yeah, I agree with you. He's going to come out firing in the beginning of this season, and like you mentioned as well, there could be some slumps, there could be some growing pains. It's how you're going to handle them too as a rookie. Not everything's going to go your way. How are you going to handle yourself of adjusting? How are you going to handle yourself in situations when they're going to pitch you backwards instead of, you're expecting fastball, they're going to throw you a curveball. You're expecting off speed, you're going to get a fastball. So I'm pretty sure he's doing a good job at that. He played in Summer League, like I mentioned, with Cape Cod, as well as playing in the World Series. Travel ball, you've seen how competitive that can get. So I'm not too worried or concerned of how he comes out firing. I think he's going to do a good job. Defense should be a interesting part because, he hasn't had a lot of reps, but he looks very, very comfortable in right field. I will say I saw there was a video too of Coach Dave Clark going with him at right field, kind of get him that feel of that right field wall, at least in the foul territory where the seats are. So I think he's going to adjust quickly. Like he had mentioned too, he's taking notes, he's writing down stuff, he's absorbing it like a sponge, like a rookie should do and would do. And he's just going to continue trying to get better as the season goes along.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting, especially at the wall presence, because in the back of the mind, it's like you're close, and it's just just remembering to how much space you have. Like I've said for Altuve, those slicing lefty pitches might be kind of tough for him, but for Cam Smith, it'll be the opposite, right? Some right-handers might be slicing the ball a little bit, and that going toward the foul, that might be a little difficult. But I think he got it. I think he's shown that he has the athleticism to adjust fairly quickly to the outfield.
Yes. So we should see how the offense and the defense comes along. At least the beginning of this week. We can probably set that for the next month or whatever. But as of right now, we both agree. I think he's going to just come out firing. You can just see the energy, the moxie that he brings. Like I said, when he slid to third base, Astros have a video of it. If you haven't seen it, I mean, he's already pumping in the dugout, screaming like let's go. So he's very excited. I'm excited to see what this player does for this team because the Astros got bounced out of the playoffs in that wild card series, and that was the first time they didn't reach the ALCS since 2016. So I know that kid can be a huge contribution if everything goes well. I believe too he has like the second odds or the highest odds of winning American League Rookie of the Year, if I'm not mistaken. If I saw that correctly. So I know Kristen Campbell's on there. Jason Dominguez is on there. They also have Roman Anthony on there, Jackson Jobe. So he's going to be competing for that Rookie of the Year. And just think about it too, Angel. We talked about the PPI rule of the eligibility. He's already getting it. And if he wins Rookie of the Year, the Astros get a first-round pick in 2026. That would help that farm system tremendously.
Getting 2 picks, yes, they would.
So, yeah, and can't remember the last time the Astros had 2 first-rounders. I'm what, 2014, 2015 with Bregman and Tucker?
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that would be huge if he can, if he can win that award, and he has a good chance. A lot of analysts and a lot of gambling sports bettors have him, at least him and Kristen Campbell, which is the other Red Sox, winning that award. Astro Wharf Craig, some youthful energy is just what the doctor ordered, and I agree. I 100% agree, because we're going to talk about some of these rookies coming up into the big leagues, and Zach DeZenzo and Ryan Gusto have made the opening day roster. A lot of people wanted Logan Van Wy, excuse me, including myself, but Ryan Gusto like I mentioned, he had a good spring. He's in that bullpen. I believe, credit to you, you had said in the beginning, way beginning, that he was going to get that bullpen nod. So congrats on you on that. And Brendan Rodgers also makes the opening day roster. I think for both of us, from our last episode, we were talking about who makes in that second position of Guillorme and Rodgers. Had a little fun debate about it, but I think both of us knew in our hearts that Brendan Rodgers, especially who won a Gold Glove, was going to be getting that last spot.
Yeah. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say Zach Short and Cooper Hummel did not make the opening day roster, and John Singleton was unconditionally released by the Houston Astros. He does have a chance to come back. He has already cleared waivers, and Houston can bring him back if they wanted to. But back to what Astro Wharf Craig was saying real quick with DeZenzo, the youthful energy is coming on. Like I mentioned, like we're looking back on these Astro teams, the golden era of Astros baseball. I don't remember a youth movement happening on this squad since
2015.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. With Correa, with Springer. Would you really consider Altuve in that youth movement? I wouldn't say, because he's already been like
2012.
He was already 4 or 5 years already in the league.
I think 2011 actually. Yeah.
2011.
Yeah.
So I mean, Colin McHugh is another guy that was a rookie during that time. So a lot of youth in that, and look how that transpired to winning 2 World Series, a lot of American League pennants, obviously a lot of trips to the World Series and to the postseason. So maybe this could be a new youth movement of guys like the Correas and the Springers, with the Smiths, the DeZenzos, and you also still got Bryce Matthews over there. You still got Van Wy over there. You never know what can happen with this team.
Yeah. Well, now that we're on the topic, when the Astros originally first signed or named Daniel Brown as their general manager, I forgot who, but one of the big writers said that the Astros window has just increased 7 to 8 years. The dynasty that they have. Do you think we're seeing like the dynasty coming alive again, like you were saying, 2015? Like those guys made the playoffs. Yeah, they didn't go so far, but they're set up for 2017. Is that what you think's happening right now?
It's too early to tell for me. I got to see how Zach DeZenzo plays out for a full season. Remember, he made his debut last year, as well as Smith. You got to see how this guy comes alive. I'll even give you a follow-up question after this, especially with Ryan Gusto as well. You got Bryce Matthews still over there. Jeremy Pena, I would still consider him a little young. I mean, 2022 made his debut. So, and then Paredes, 26 years old. So you're seeing a little rejuvenation of this youth Astros. But I would have to say after this season, then we can kind of tell what if the dynasty is coming to an end or the dynasty continues on, to see how this goes, because we haven't seen DeZenzo play. We haven't seen Smith play. We haven't seen Paredes play with the Astros, especially with the Crawford boxes that he's going to have in left, which, by the way, smokes the damn ball over there and had a lot of great at-bats. I think he had 3 walks in one of those games. So I have to see about that. I will follow up with this, though. I completely forgot. You're gonna have to continue on if you want to answer your question.
Yeah, well, I think, I mean, like you make solid points there. Like, I'm not ready to make that decision yet either.
Mhm.
And we're just talking about the offense, but if you remember that 2015, they had Dallas Keuchel. They had some great pitching. So I would say the dynasty could continue, right? If those offensive players keep, live up to their name. But also the growth of Hunter Brown, can he do what he did last year? And like Spencer Arrighetti, can he find the control he's been missing for? I think if the pitching can do what they gotta do, I think the offense would just, by itself just, be great. So but I think the pitching needs to keep him in games. Like which Framber Valdez, will they sign Framber Valdez to the extended contract? And if they do, which Framber Valdez are going to get?
Mhm.
The cool as a cucumber Framber Valdez or an emotional Framber Valdez? Because which Framber Valdez will succeed, and it's the one when he's like calm, relaxed, up there. So it all depends. Like, but I agree with you. It's too early to tell, but it has all the. I think this actual team has all the bright stuff, a balanced team where it could rejuvenate that dynasty. They have a veteran presence as Jose Altuve, a big hitter, Yordan Alvarez, and all these talented young guys coming up. So very excited time. Again, like I said earlier, if you're a Nationals fan, very excited time to be one.
Yeah, I mean, think about it too. Before I ask you this question, I'm not gonna say this team reminds me of the 2009 Yankees because if you really think about that team, Alex Rodriguez was already getting older. Derek Jeter was already getting older. Sabathia, still one of the best, still getting older. But you had young guys on that team. You had a Robinson Cano that was coming up to the rise. Brett Garner, and you saw how he played with the Yankees, a very scrappy guy that gives you some good contact and all that kind of stuff. So you never know what this team is capable of doing. You never know what this youth movement, like you were mentioning, could continue on. Does it really help Houston yet for the next upcoming seasons go back to a World Series? We'll just have to see. Let us know in the comments what y'all think. If it's the youth movement's real, do you think the dynasty continues on, or you're gonna be like us, like you just got to see after this season what plans out and say your answer from there. But Angel, my question to you, Dana Brown has been around the Braves GM Alex. I don't know his last name. I'm not even gonna try to attempt.
It's a long one. It's a long one.
Yes, but his first name is Alex. You've seen that trend of him seeing guys like Albies, Acuna Jr. sign them right there on the spot after after their first or second year in the league and give them good amount of year contract, 8-year, 7-year, 9-year. I don't have the contract numbers right in my head for Albies and Acuna, but my question to you, you think Brown tries to bring that same mindset from Alex and bring it to Houston? I think we've already saw that with Christian Javier, I would say. Javier got that extension done with the Astros when Dana Brown came. Brown tried getting Tucker. Brown tried getting Bregman, didn't plan out. But you got a kid like Smith, for instance. You got Hunter Brown that's entering his 3rd year with Houston. Do you think he can try to bring that same philosophy he saw over there with Atlanta and bring it to Houston?
I mean, I think they'll try. You also the difference is you also have 2 different owners for both clubs. So it's again at the end of the day, the owner has the final say on it. However, I don't think they'll do like a 10-year, kind of contract or anything like that, like they did with the Braves. But I could see like a Lawrence Butler contract where they just buy out the arbitration years and then work something from there. So I could see that. That's to me, that's a little bit more reasonable, especially if Cam Smith has a solid year this year, where they buy out the arbitration years, agree to like a deal, and then they can work something from there.
Yeah, I mean, they could do that with Hunter Brown. They could do that with Spencer Arrighetti. Brian Abreu, not to mention, too. He can be looking for a contract because his contract, I believe, coming up in 2 years from now. Sure. So you never know what can happen. And Astro Wolf Craig does make a good point. Don't forget all the money coming off the books next year. Presley's contract ending. Jose Abreu's contract ending. Rafael Montero's contract ending. So they have some money to work with next year, either to strengthen some positional needs or look into signing the extensions with guys like in my opinion, Hunter Brown and Yiner Diaz are. We forgot about Yiner Diaz too, dude. They could be looking at extensions that could be possibly happening for next year.
Yeah, because Lawrence Butler's contract was a 7-year, 65.5 contract again, just through his arbitration years and then some a little bit. So that to me is reasonable. I think Jim Crane will be comfortable doing that, but I don't think Jim Crane will be comfortable giving a 10-year contract for a guy, say, after the year who's only been in the league for 1 year. So, I'll just say.
I'm trying to look at real quick of Jordan's. Jordan signed a 6-year, 115 contract extension during the James Click era.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my opinion, I think they should nudge and give it a try of Hunter Brown and Yiner Diaz this upcoming, well, not even upcoming, but this offseason after the 25 season comes to an end. I think they really should look into trying to work something out with Diaz and Brown, because both them guys would still keep that nucleus, at least battery-wise, and the rotation really well.
Yeah. I'll see what happens.
We'll have to see. But let's predict this opening day roster real quick. I just wanted to give a little nugget. Last year's opening day roster to this season is insane. I don't have the lineup in front of me, but I do remember it went something like
I can look it up real quick.
Okay, I'm gonna try to guess then when you look it up. Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, Jordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, Jose Abreu, Chas McCormick, Yiner Diaz, Chas McCormick, Jeremy Pena, and Jake Myers.
Let me see. I'm trying to get the right game.
I mean, all you have to do is opening day lineup for 2024.
That's literally what I Googled, and I got this whole not what I wanted.
Well, some of these players, real quick, when you look for it. Kyle Tucker, traded away. Alex Bregman, Red Sox. Jose Abreu, DFA. Chas McCormick, not starting this year for the Astros. That's, 4 players off of a 9-positional lineup card? Yeah. Only 5 of them stayed on. Altuve, Alvarez, Diaz, Pena, and Myers.
Yeah, and the reason Myers is in there for his
it's for his glove, his defense.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so it isn't taking me a little longer than I expected, so I guess we can just move on.
I'm shocked that if I could find it before you, I'm gonna laugh. But anyway, let's predict this opening day lineup, because it's a new team from last year, especially. Where do we see a Christian Walker bat? Where do we see a Cam Smith bat? Where do we see a Jeremy Pena bat? Because Jeremy Pena slugged the ball really well in spring training this season. So, do you want to take the first?
I can do it.
First start on this.
Yeah, I can do it. So, obviously, Jose Altuve will be first. That's a given. Yeah. Joe Espada hinted that Isaac Paredes will be second just because of his walk rate. Jordan Alvarez will be third. Yiner Diaz will be fourth. Christian Walker fifth. Jeremy Pena sixth. Cam Smith seventh. And then Dubon eighth and Jake Myers ninth.
So you think Dubon 8 and then Myers 9, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So for me, on the other hand, you have everything right. 1 and 2 and 3 is a lock for me. Altuve and Paredes, I mean, right there in that game at Dyken Park, it kind of showed like what he's capable of doing at the plate. He's going to pull the ball. He's going to work the count. 3 walks, 1 home run in that game. That's why you're putting him at 2, because you got a guy like Jordan Alvarez that could come up and smash a ball to the damn scoreboard if he really wanted to. So them 3, I think that's really well. This is where it gets tricky for both of us. I'm going to put Christian Walker at 4 because, of course, he has that. I think that was really his batting spot in Arizona's lineup, if I'm not mistaken. But if not, then it is what it is. But he's probably going to be your cleanup hitter. Not to mention, too, his second game back and the minor leagues when they came to Houston, and he stayed in Florida, hit a home run. Just hit a home run like nothing. So he's supposed to play also this Thursday. So little small update on him. Fire, I'm gonna put Yiner Diaz. It's not a bad place to put him because you got first and third, one out or two outs, and Yiner Diaz has shown that he's able to work a count and put the ball in play. So putting him at 5 is not bad. 6 is going to be Pena. And I mean, honestly, you could put Pena at 5 too, but I
Yeah.
think he'd be good at 6. You got Cam Smith at 7th. And I agree. I think it's either Dubon or Rogers at 8. And I'm going to say I think Dubon's going to get the starting spot of second base for now. Just until something like if his bat just doesn't come into play or if injury happens. So I'll agree with you. Dubon 8, and then I believe Myers, last but not least, will be batting 9.
Yeah. So the only difference we had was Walker and Diaz. And honestly, I kind of like yours a little better as you continue on stress and debate. I think Walker would be a cleanup, but you never know what spot is feeling that day. Maybe he puts, and especially coming back from that like oblique injury, just kind of offers some protection there to Yanni Diaz with Yanni Diaz in front. So could be.
Yeah, you never know. And you were always a big believer on Pena being the 2-hole. And this
Yeah.
spring, I mean, man, this spring he really showed like he could be on that 2 spot, honestly. Like
Yeah.
he could.
No, yeah, but I mean, it makes sense. I just thought Isaac Baez's power might be, wanted a little bit lower in the lineup, but I mean, I agree. If he can get on base and set up the rest of the guys, hey, no issue there.
But what was that case? Because you had Jordan Alvarez in the 2-hole. So
Yeah, it's best hitter.
that's what I'm saying. I don't know if that's that same trend still going on with having your best hitter in the 2 spot, but I mean, Isaac's a really good hitter, and I
Yeah.
think he's really in a good position to put himself between a future Hall of Famer leading off and probably another future Hall of Famer in Alvarez batting behind him. I mean,
Great
that's
protection there.
great. Yeah, great protection on that spot. So I think that opening really, man, if you had to compare 24 and 25s, what do you think? Who's is more stronger?
I think it's kind of deadlocked there. I mean, yeah, that 2014 lost some guys, but they replaced them with some, equally great guys there. So I mean, both pretty good.
And I'm leaning toward 25, man. I'm
Okay.
leaning toward it because Paredes, I mean, I think people are honestly going to sleep on him. This guy's an all-star. People forget about that. Walker, too. Between both those guys, total home runs could be 50 to 60 home runs from both of them. And then Yiner Diaz, yet to see his pop come into action. I think the over on 20 home runs is going to happen this year. And then not to mention, you're getting a good Pena, you're getting Pena that's hitting the ball like 2022, I would say, this spring. Now we got to see if it's going to transition to the season, but
He's
as
gonna
of
keep
right
it
now,
that way too. Yeah.
exactly. As of right now, it looks in really good spirits that it's going to happen going in. And then Cam Smith, not to mention what he brings. And then just throw a little sprinkle on top. You get Mauricio Dubon to give you a 20-game hit streak here. And if you want Brendan Rodgers, the spray chart shows he pulls the ball a lot. Maybe that's a benefit for him to, being away from chorus, not looking at the splits, not looking at the stats, none of that crap. Having him there, the OPS this spring wasn't bad. So I think this is a little stronger, I would say, more than last
Okay.
year's.
Yeah. We'll see how it plays out. Hopefully the Astros can start, get on a hot start early on because like we talked about last year, they don't want to be playing catch up later in the season. But hey, new year, I guess I'll be doing the preaching period today. I know that's Lorenzo's those things,
You're
but
saving my voice right now, dude.
yeah, I got you. I got you. Like as I said earlier, we're gonna keep it short and simple. That's the way I do things anyways. But opening day tomorrow, Thursday, 3:05 start time. So get there early. I'm sure it's gonna be packed. Plan accordingly because parking, that area of downtown is gonna be hectic. I'm sure it's
Beers on
gonna
ice,
be,
baby. You're forgetting that.
yeah,
Beers on ice.
not daughter dogs, but hot
Your dog.
dogs.
Come on.
Like get your, I'm a little nervous. My first time doing preaching period, I got it though. But it's going to be a duel of Clay Holmes versus Framber Valdez. And Clay Holmes, former Yankee, relief pitcher nonetheless, makes his first opening day start. That we talked about that trend, relief pitchers becoming starters, and the Mets start doing it right off the bat. But this is Valdez's fourth opening day start. Just to give you a glimpse of his last year's starts, he went 15-7. He started 28 games, 2.91 ERA, 169 strikeouts, 55 walks, one complete game, and a 3.25 FIP. Now, Valdez, I think he's shown why he deserves to be an opening day starter. It's just he starts off hot, and it's just there's a portion later in the season where he kind of starts to lose it and then finds it again. I think it's a contract year for him, if I'm not mistaken. I think this is
Yes.
so if I'm Framber Valdez, I'm showing out every game if you want to collect that baggage. So I think you can see a big season of Framber Valdez this year, maybe closer to 20 wins if he plays his car rights as well.
Yeah, I mean that's what the Astros are going to need from him if they're going to want to go back to the World Series. Framber Valdez has to really step up and pitch like how he did in 2022. 2022 was a big year for him, and since then, I mean, he's had some good games here and there, good starts. But 23 in the postseason, where the Astros really needed that win, just couldn't get it done. Same goes for 24. Like you mentioned, I guess you would have to say in that middle part of the inning, the second time through the lineup, it's kind of where it gets a little rocky in some games. So for him, he has to start off hot. He has to stay continuously in the zone because he's gonna see a great lineup with Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto now, not to mention being back in the DH for opening day again. Mark Vientos, Pete Alonso. I mean that like you mentioned in the beginning, Mets got a great lineup, but of course their pitching has to be there. And the only way Houston's going to win if they have great pitching and their offense is on the roll.
Yeah, like you mentioned, the big dogs there, but they also got guys like Brandon Nimmo who can work at bats and are not going to be chasing a lot. So a lot of pesky hitters in this lineup as well. So a tough matchup. I think this test right here is going to set up Framber Valdez well. Like this is the guys that you're going to see in the playoffs if you make it to the World Series, right? So it's just you're putting in work all year, and then this is the guy. This is the time to prove it. But also my lineup, what like you said, Mets lineup is solid. Series the dog too. Yeah, Jose Siri there playing center field with the Mets too. So
For Astro.
this team's gonna battle. It's gonna be an intriguing matchup. But on the other side of the mound, the Mets are throwing Clay Holmes. Like I said, he was reliever for the Yankees a year ago. First opening day start. Last year he had a 3.5 record, 3.114 ERA, and 63 innings pitched. 68 strikeouts, 22 walks, and he developed a new pitch called the kick change. So it's similar, yeah. So you know how a knuckle fastball has the index finger kind of up, just to give it the knuckle thing. So it's a change of grip, but with that index finger up to kind of make it break a little bit more.
Too bad I don't have
So
a ball here right now. 'Cause I would
yeah.
have loved to see how
So look, I'm gonna use an apple.
Oh yes, please.
It's kind of like this change of grip, but with the index finger up to kind of give it a little bit more of a drop. So tune in
That's
to
almost
see
like a
that.
circle change if you really think about it, but the index finger is pressing against the ball.
Yeah, the circle change is more like a circular grip. You have a little thing, but
Obviously
this
like
one's
that,
more. Yeah. So we'll see how effective it is against Astros hitters. I guess baseball's improving every day. Like a new pitch came out too, because I know like what a year ago it was the sweeper, or 2 years ago it was the sweeper,
Now you
and
got a
now
sweeper with Paul Skeens too.
yeah.
Not to
So
mention, shit.
yeah, so interesting to see. So keep your eye on that. And then on Friday, 7:10 start time, Taylor McGill versus Hunter Brown. Well, again, the Astros haven't officially announced uh their 2-3 guys, but I'm a strong
It is. It
strong.
is. It's
Oh,
Hunter
it is.
Brown. Yeah, Hunter Brown's number 2. Spencer Garcia.
Oh, okay. I was looking on the app before this, and it was still showing 2BA. So
Nah,
I was
I had mentioned it already.
perfect. So Hunter Brown. Brown again, like we were saying this earlier, he took a great leap forward. It'll be interesting to see if he can replicate what he did last year, especially with that fastball. I was seeing that Hunter Brown was ranked third with most strikeouts with the fastball. So if his fastball's, you know, working pretty good, he can rack up those strikeout numbers. Last year, he had an 11-9 record with 3.49 ERA.
Mhm.
He had 170 innings pitched, 179 strikeouts with 60 walks, 30 starts again a year ago, and he pitched pretty well and towards the tail end of the season. He's going against Miguel, who had a 4-5 record, 4.04 ERA, started 15 out of 16 games with 78 innings pitched, 91 strikeouts, and 32 pitches. When you asked me if Cat Smith, how's he gonna start the season, I think he will start good because Taylor Miguel hasn't been a dominant pitcher as of late. I think those are guys. I think him and the next guy are guys that Cat Smith can take advantage, and all the Astros hitters can take advantage. Like it's gonna be a dogfight just because of the lineup on the other end, but I think the Astros can put up points as well.
Yeah, a lot of pitchers missing locations, and of course, when you miss your
And then
location, some damage can be done.
yes, the series starts on Thursday. However, this is a 3-game set, so the last game will be on Saturday, 6:15 start time. Griffin Canning versus Spencer Arrighetti, two guys who had command issues that are they trying to fix. So again, uh, during his rookie year, Spencer Arrighetti had a 7.13 record, 4.53 ERA, 145 innings pitched, but 175 strikeouts. So that strikeout ball is going to be very big for Spencer Arrighetti. It makes sense with the movement of his pitches. The curveball breaks pretty good.
Yeah.
And 65 walks, which also makes sense because of his command issues as well. The Mets are, again, like I said, throwing Griffin Canning, who had a 6-13 record, 5.19 ERA last year, pitched 171 innings, 130 strikeouts with 66 walks. Now get this, he allowed 31 home runs, and his 99 earned runs were highest in Major League from starters too. So struggled mightily last year. I think this is a former Angel as well. So
Yes.
the Astros have seen him too. So this is another guy that the Astros could probably take advantage of.
Yeah, having Spencer getting in this series it's good for him. Built that
Oh yeah.
character, built that confidence going. Like you're mentioning, command is something that's has to be really spot on, especially against a lineup like this. You got to be spot on. You got to hit your location, your spots. Mechanics have to be great. Blanco is 3-0. Yes, he is third on the rotation, but I believe Joe Espada went ahead and just said, we're going to throw Spencer Getty.
So he's fourth then.
Yeah, and not just that. I think too. Blanco just pitched on Monday.
Yeah.
So give him that extra day of rest. So that day off on Sunday, and then you got the Giants coming into town on Monday. But let us know in the comments too, real quick. We'll read at the end of this show. We're almost done with our episode 244. What do you predict the Astros record will be this season? That's another thing we can just real quick talk briefly about later at the end of the show, but put it in the comments and we can put it on and show everybody's guess of what this record could look like for the 25 strokes.
Yeah. And then that's pretty much for the pitcher period. Like we said, off day Sunday. So, which is great. So that means you can go or tune into the PGA Tour that's in Houston too.
Open. The
Houston Open. So
what a weekend for this city. But then again, too, It's gonna rain tomorrow and it's gonna
rain. Hey, it's all right.
It's gonna be bad.
Those caddies are gonna be busy holding the umbrella, so it should be good.
You better wear a rain jacket if you're going out there.
Yeah. Even to opening day, you gotta do that walk, especially like you might have to park kind of far away, it's gonna be parked, so be prepared. But it's been an hour for it, so I'm moving along. Astros injury updates. Luis Garcia. Again, this is a guy who hasn't pitched in a while. Was close to coming back twice, and twice, had some setbacks. And now, Luis Garcia, after seeing doctors yesterday about his sore elbow, Luis Garcia will seek a second opinion, as Espada said. Now, they didn't really disclose what was it. However, whenever you're seeking a second opinion, that just tells it wasn't good news that they wanted to hear. So hopefully the second opinion could, maybe an Astros fan, you're hoping the second opinion could be something positive. But I don't know how. To me, it's not looking so good for Luis Garcia.
There's a guy that hasn't pitched since 23, if I'm not mistaken, in a game. So if Obviously the worst case will be Tommy John again. He's already had one Tommy John surgery, which I don't understand that part. You had one Tommy John surgery and you were still rehabbing, and now there's the possibility of maybe having another one. It's insane.
Everybody's built different, I guess.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you also mentioned too that he had a. We asked him when it was FanFest, what was that feeling like, and he's like he couldn't really describe it. It was just weird.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of context of what he's feeling. It could be the recovery process of after a
Well,
bull.
during FanFest, he said it was a recovery process. Like it
Or
wouldn't
was
hurt
it?
him while he. Yeah. So like it wouldn't hurt him when it was pitching. It was more like a day or two after. It would be, I guess, sore than usual. I would say.
Yeah, this would be a huge. I'm not gonna say I wouldn't say huge, but it will be a. I'll go big. I think huge is bigger than big, so I'll say it will be a big loss because this rotation is already good, and then you add, let's say you add a healthy Luis Garcia, you had a healthy Lance McCullers, you add a healthy JP France, and a healthy Christian Javier. Well, now you're down to three guys that you're hoping that come back from their recovery correctly and safely. And not to mention, too, if Astros have to deal with some type of injuries during the season, with specifically talking about the starting pitching, you're gonna have to see some guys step up in the minors, as a guy like Ryan Gusto and Cone Gordon.
Yeah.
So
So yeah. So again, I wouldn't say question mark with the rotation. I think rotation kind of set, but it's mostly like some security blankets, right? So
yes,
it's like you're
that's
hoping
good, right?
that.
Yeah,
Yes, like you're hoping that, McCullers recovers well, and then, if he does and he's ready to pitch, I would say Renault Blanco goes to the bullpen, and then, you still have a elite bullpen piece now, and then that's McCullers ready to go. So I think it's just more of a security blanket. I think if Luis Garcia doesn't pitch, I mean, I'm sure that would suck for him, but I think the Astros will be just fine. You know, at the end of the day, I think they added the pieces they needed. Whether or not trying, hoping and praying Luis Garcia comes back. I think they're going to give him the time he needs to recover.
adding Wisniewski now, if you really think about it,
Yeah,
really was a really big thing during that trade.
absolutely. Absolutely. And again, starter. So again, three major league ready guys. All three starters for one. So, again, shout out to Dana Brown. Uh, some good news, I guess you can say. Lance McCullers Jr., 1.2 innings pitched, 33 pitches in the major league game on Monday in Florida. Just what I said, it went well. McCullers could make his next start this weekend with Sugar Land. So again, just a 45-minute drive for the Houston area to go see Lance McCullers on the mound once again. But I think this is a guy. I know you said what late May he's coming back.
Yeah,
I think that timetable seems reasonable now, especially if we can kick it up a notch a little bit again. The thing with McCullers is you don't want to rush him too quick because I think that's what happened uh, a few years ago. He tried to rush kick and he got hurt again. So they're gonna take his time with it. Like they're gonna don't expect McCullers to be back next month. Late May is a good timetable as well. I would say that just to give him all the reps he needs, looks, feel, whatever he needs to be ready. I think that's what the Astros are willing to do.
yeah. I think too, not just that, but the pitch count. Like you said, don't rush him, but they're gonna just keep gradually just building that pitch count up for him until he feels comfortably pitching. Let's say at 88 or like 80 to
Yeah.
85, 85 to 90 pitches. So
And and honestly, even when he does come back, I think he'll still be on the pitch count. I think,
oh yeah,
maybe, yeah. So I don't think they're gonna give him full range right off the bat either when he hits major league pitches. Maybe like 75 to 85 pitches for a while, and then until he's ready to go. You see, and that's the thing with having a Renault Blanco because they can piggyback off of one another if
mhm,
like if they need to, coming from the bullpen. So yeah, just an idea there.
yeah. Some small ones too. I would say Forrest Whitley and Caleb Ward are gonna be on the IL to start off the season,
Mhm.
but it's not gonna be like gradually over 15 days. It's probably gonna be under that. So whenever their IL stint ends, more than
I think
likely
it
you're
is
gonna
15.
is it
15. Yeah.
okay. Well, whenever that 15 IL stint ends, you're more than likely gonna see possibly Luis Contreras and Ryan Gusto get option just for the fact that they have some options in their contract. And then you'll get to see Forrest Whitley be on the bullpen side, be it a relieving role, and of course Caleb Orr, another guy that produces some good velocity on his fastballs. So having
Yeah,
him would be huge.
and for Christian Walker, like we said, I think it's expected he'll be ready for opening day tomorrow.
Correct.
If not, Zach DeSanto's been holding his own too. So
Yeah, yes.
first
I mean,
base,
he even
yeah,
took a ball to the face at first. So
yeah,
it means a lot. It means a lot to him.
yeah, absolutely. But I don't think we have to do around the horn today. Just the big thing is Rays again are playing at George Steinbrenner Field, which is a Yankee spring training, and they have what a few hours, like 2-3 days to get it ready for the Rays. So it'll be interesting how that looks for you.
Did you just say Georgetown?
George Steinbrenner Field.
Oh, I swear I thought her said Georgetown. But yeah, if you go look at the pictures of that field, it completely looks different. Even the Rays put something like on a sign that says "Thank you, Yankees."
Oh wow,
Just imagine if
for
the Astros did that for
a
the Rays.
division rival, yeah.
I was about to say.
I, I think the Rangers should learn a thing or two.
Yeah, but real quick, some predictions, and of course that lineup. If you haven't, I mean not lineup, the record. If you haven't posted your record yet, show it out, and we'll put it on here real quick. We'll even throw our record on there. Opening day homer for the carrier, and I'm guessing he's meaning the aircraft carrier.
Yeah. I wouldn't say opening day. Maybe game two, game three. I think that's the seems more reasonable. Claim Holmes. I know he's a reliever, but he has good stuff. I mean, he's the opening day starter for a reason. Veteran guy. I think he can work his own, but I would say maybe game two or game three.
I mean, it doesn't obviously have to be just Clay Holmes pitching. When the Astros can knock him out
I
of the
know.
game, the next thing you
Yeah,
know,
that's true.
they have to do bullpen. You know what? This episode is about Cam Smith. It is this Cam Smith era starts now episode. So I'm gonna go with opening day homer for the aircraft carrier,
So
aka Sweet Pickle, whatever the other nickname, Cam the Man. I mean, whatever other nickname he has. I honestly think there will be a home run, especially with his family and friends in attendance.
so what you're telling me is I should start him in fantasy then?
I mean, you said you have five third basemen, so if you want to
I
go ahead
do.
and put him in that third base slot, by all means, you can go
I
ahead
do.
and do that. Asherworth Craig, 97 and 65 for this Astros team for 2025.
Yeah, that's good.
Very bold because last year the Astros finished first place with 88 wins and 73 losses.
I'd say 93 wins.
I can see 93. And just think about it too. 88. This is a team that was under 500 all the way to what, May? If I'm not mistaken.
I think June.
Or June. Just like
Yeah.
so yes. Not very bold, but I say bold. That is very I'm not gonna say very bold, but bold. For 97 and 65. 93 is a good number. Win wise, I will say around I'll go 92. I'll go on the under. It was like we're doing over under 92 and a half.
All right.
So yeah,
I'm going over, I guess.
92 and 70, 71 maybe, 72, 92, 72, so 92, 71. So
Something like that.
yeah, something like that. But I mean, it's going to be a good season, not just for us, because this is our third year doing this.
Yeah.
Started in 22. No, fourth year, actually.
I think third year together.
Yes, correct. This is my fourth year. But a lot of stuff going on. You saw the videos. We're out there. We're going to have some content on opening day. So please make sure to tune in. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. If you haven't seen those videos that we had put in the beginning of the episode of them little snippets, go on to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell to get an update when we post our videos of interviews, breakdowns, and all that good stuff, just like our new intro video, which was not fully done right. We do have the correct one, but for some reason on our software side just does not want to go on. But other than that, social media, TikTok, we're almost at 1,000 followers, which is really good. Full steam ahead on that as well on Twitter, full steam ahead, FSA full steam ahead on Instagram, which are almost at 1,000 as well with followers on that channel. And if you're on the road or you're on a plane or you're in Hawaii on the beach, Go to Spotify, go to Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. Give us a rate, give us a review, leave a comment, let us know how we're doing, how we can improve, and all that type of good stuff. I'm pretty sure we'll get a little freebie out for opening day like we always do. We'll have to see what it's going to be. Other than that, Cantu, anything before we sign off and get ready for the 2025 season?
No, but just know that it is. It's literally
You're
15
waiting for
seconds.
the time. I could see it. You're waiting for the time.
15 seconds to opening day. So, happy
How are we gonna
baseball.
prepare? Are we gonna prepare with Saratoga water, ice, lemons, and a banana?
Of course. You gotta get that, that morning routine set up to have a great, opening day. So for sure.
Oh man, it's gonna be fun. Baseball is officially back at his midnight Thursday, March 27th of the end of this episode. If you're
Yes,
going to
sir.
the game, have fun. If you're not going to the game and you're going to, let's say, a restaurant or a bar, anything
at
like
home.
that, yeah, or at home. If you're going to a bar, please be safe. Drink cautiously, drink carefully. How's it? What's the saying? Drink responsibly. Like Budweiser says. So, other than that, we will talk to you, of course, at the end of the series. We're back to doing series, not one episode a week. So we'll go back to. So if anything, we'll record on a Sunday night just for the fact that we'll have that Saturday off, and then Sunday we'll get everything situated, get y'all ready for that Giants series because Justin Verlander returns.
Yeah.
Verlander returns to Houston for his second time in a different uniform. Till then, talk to y'all later. Be safe. Have a great weekend. Have fun on opening day if you're going to be out there. And just be on the lookout for our social media. A lot of content coming soon. Peace.